All right. Thank you very much for joining us on this spectacular Thursday. We have I think it's going to be a really good show today. We have Sundar from Softcrylic here for our very first partner showcase, and hopefully it's the first of many to really highlight what our partners are doing with Project Firefly. So that's exciting. And the other big news is we had a new release of Firefly yesterday. Well, okay, between yesterday and today we had a release, and today we sent out the announcement really about an hour and a half ago. So 7:30 a.m. you should have Pacific time. You should have gotten an email that explains the new release and links to all the documentation and explains what the new extensions are and how to migrate your project. And nothing will break. We have made sure of that, so all good. But the next live stream on August 12th will be dedicated to what's new, how to take advantage of it, how to migrate your current projects to the new extension capable versions. So lots of good stuff coming August 12th. I will be sending out the invite for that. If you are subscribed on Eventbrite, you actually may already have seen that, or you could go to our events page on Adobe I/O. And another announcement, I guess, as well, is that it's been a pretty big week in terms of things going on for our team. We released a new version of our website. We talked about it a couple sessions ago in our Learning Resources live stream. We talked about, hey, we're working on new documentation pages and new formatting, and basically a rollout of new website templates and such. And so those are now live. So definitely check those out and let us know what you think about them. So I guess we'll get started with today's session. So let me introduce Sundar from Softcrylic. He is here to share a little bit about what Softcrylic is and show us a demo of a really fantastic application that his team has put together. So welcome, Sundar. I'm actually I'm gonna zoom into us here, so we'll use this one. So how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me on the show. Very excited to show what we have built using Firefly, and also share the experience with you guys. Very excited to be here. And by the way, like today is my second daughter's birthday,
Yeah.
so I'm double excited about that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you making time on your second daughter's birthday. I can't believe the timing there, but we were talking earlier before the show started about the weather where you are, and I hope the weather holds and that you'll be able to have the party outside this afternoon. But
sure, yeah, I wish the same. Like the little one is very excited about the party, but the weather looks a little dicey. Let's see. Yeah,
exactly. So one thing you cannot predict or count on is
definitely.
But yeah, if you could send some of your rain over here to California, we would be much appreciated. So yeah, if you could maybe convince, if it does start raining, hey, could you move west like a lot? That would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you got started, and I guess let's start with, so what do you do at Softcrylic? Is Softcrylic large company, small company, for folks that don't know?
Sure. Yeah. Let me start with what I do with Softcrylic. So
Yeah.
I'm actually leading the test engineering practice at Softcrylic. So in my current role, like my focus is extremely on building automated data quality solutions, using machine learning and other technologies. I've been like more than a decade, I worked in implementing software development best practices, that includes test automation, performance testing, continuous integration and delivery, CI/CD, and DevOps. And then I have helped many Softcrylic clients release applications, particularly web and mobile applications, faster with quality. So had a lot of experience in working on software development side. Few years back, like Softcrylic as a company, we decided to focus more on the data side. So since then, my focus is completely on data quality. That's what keeps me awake at night. So right now, focused on building automated data quality solution, ensuring if I can bring some of the software development best practices into the data world. About Softcrylic, Ron, do you mind if I share a few slides
Yeah,
to show you?
yeah. Actually, yeah. Why
Softcrylic?
don't you go ahead and do that? So you've been at
Sure.
Softcrylic a while, right? And I was looking at your profile on LinkedIn, and it's awesome that you've been there as long as you have, almost as long as I've been at Adobe. So it's good to see people that stay with the company over the long haul, because it's always interesting, right? It's an interesting place to be, and I'm sure with partners you have new projects constantly from different verticals and different types of customers that are coming in with unique use cases and unique challenges to solve, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I love working with Softcrylic. We are a data consulting services company. I enjoy the fact that you're working with a consulting services company, so you get to work with different clients, and then get to get the challenge of working on their problems and trying to solve the solutions. So it's always new things. So I really like enjoying working with Softcrylic because the work and the challenges, and it is really excited.
Right on, right on. Yeah, it's never boring. So yeah, go ahead and share your screen, share the slides that
Sure.
you had prepared, and I'll throw them up on the screen and I'll disappear and let you present those.
Sure. I'm going to quickly share my screen and then just one second.
All right. And while you're doing that, I will make the comment that if you hear a grumbling stomach, I do apologize. I am intermittent fasting, so hopefully it doesn't cause a great deal of noise to the stream. But here we go.
No problem at all.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll start with an introduction to Softcrylic. So Softcrylic, we are a data consulting services company, and our mission is to make data work for our clients. Just one second. So, sorry. So as a company, we have expertise both on engineering side and data and analytics side. And for more than 2 decades now, we've been, building solution and helping our clients, by building teams. So as a company, we have expertise in many different areas, and we are kind of organized into engineering division as well as data analytics division. Within these divisions, we have multiple practices to help our clients. So this is one of my favorite slides. So basically, this shows whenever we work with a client, we see, any new work coming to us, like in a data world, particularly as a journey. So data within any company is basically a journey, and this journey never ends. Like it keeps on going. And from our Softcrylic standpoint, like we are well organized to help our clients in each stages of this data journey. So whether we work with a client for collecting data or preparing the data, our digital analytics practice as well as our data engineering practice helps to capture the data for our clients. And then once the data is in, like my practice, which is the test engineering practice, helps to validate the data, normalize the data, and have it ready for further downstream processing. And we also have our data visualization practice, which helps to bring data to life, like by building dashboards and reports. And then we also have our advanced analytics practice, which helps our clients to do predictive analytics, whether they're building an audience model or doing a multi-touch attribution models. Like our advanced analytics team help build these like machine learning models. And we also have app engineering services, like which build data intensive applications to help our clients with custom application development and whatnot. And also, like we have the data activation team, which activates the data for campaigns and advertisements. So as a company, like we are well organized and have expertise to help our clients at every stages of this data journey. And with the types of engagement that we work with, we help our clients with strategic consulting, whether it is an audit or working on, providing like a high-level strategy on data. We work like as a strategic advisory services, and we also work on like project delivery. We take projects and then work on delivering the project end to end with high quality on time. And we also like help our clients with skill set, like bringing in team members with exact skill set, like through our strategic resourcing services. And also like we provide managed services for some of our like support services that we help with our clients. And we are here are some of the clients that we work with. And we are actually like a Microsoft and Adobe partner. I'm very excited to work with Adobe on like various different Adobe products as well. So that's about Softcrylic. Thanks, Ron.
All right. That was great. So yeah, it's great to hear about Softcrylic and all of the your focus on data. And I love the data journey as well. I think that is a key slide, certainly for customers to understand, how that process works and how they can work to really transform their data infrastructure and capacity, I suppose. So yeah, very, very cool. All right. So let's see. How long has Softcrylic been using Firefly? Is that kind of a recent thing, or have you guys been with us since the early days last year?
It's from early days, since last year. Yes, like we've been using Firefly for almost like a year now. But during the initial few months, it was more about like trial and error, trying it and whatnot. But for the last 6 months, we were actively building on Firefly. So we've been from the beginning, and now like trying to get matured, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I appreciate you sticking with us since last year we were just starting with our developer preview, and I think we've matured with the features that we have available, and certainly customers are more and more, and partners are using it more and more. So with Softcrylic, how do you see Firefly's role when you're working with customers that are already invested in Adobe solutions, right? So I think that's probably a good target market for your team to deploy something that's built with Firefly.
Yeah, that's a great question. So with the experience of building a Firefly product, and then also like being actively in the Firefly community and ecosystem, and looking at like the various releases. Uh, from my standpoint, like what I think like Firefly's role is going to be is like Firefly is going to play a major role in building custom applications, particularly for custom applications that extend the functionality of Adobe products. For example, I'm very excited to show what we have built for Adobe Experience Platform. So that is one typical example of how Firefly can be used to extend the functionality of an Adobe product, where it is not inherently within the product, but partners can actually like leverage Firefly and not obviously Adobe I/O. For those audience like who may not know about Adobe I/O, Adobe I/O is a bunch of like APIs that allow you to push data into Adobe products as well as take data out of Adobe products. So Firefly and Adobe I/O combination, I think like using those combination, I believe like partners as well as like your clients, Adobe clients, will try to like extend Adobe products functionality through Adobe Firefly. Definitely, I see that's going to happen. That would be the one of the Firefly's role. Another role would be like companies that are actually having products like products, SaaS products as a service.
Right.
For example, like companies who do personalization products, like if they wanted to integrate with Adobe products in a seamless way, then again, like Firefly is going to be a choice for sure, because like with Adobe Firefly, like the design systems that we get, you are going to build applications that look and feel same like other Adobe products. So when a third-party SaaS provider is trying to integrate with Adobe and wanted to provide the same seamless user experience like what they have in the Adobe products in the third-party product, probably like those are the second options. I think like I'm thinking Firefly is going to have, meaning that Firefly's role would be for building seamless integration of third-party products into Adobe products as well.
Right on. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we had intended and hoped that we were providing for customers and partners to do with Firefly. So it's good that we get validation that we're on the right track. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen right now and go ahead and go through the presentation and demo, and then we'll come back around for questions. And if anybody on the stream has any questions, you can go ahead and add it as a comment in chat, and we'll get it thrown up on screen and we can answer your question. So go ahead and yeah.
Sure. Yeah, very excited to show the demo of the application. So let me share my screen.
So now we look more even.
Okay.
And, yeah, no, that's good.
Sure.
You're looking perfect.
No. Okay. So let me share my screen. So actually, like before showing a demo of like what we have built, I just want to take a few seconds to show a couple of slides about like, what is the problem that we are trying to solve with this Firefly application, and then what was our approach. So
that sounds good. Okay, I will jump out of the frame and I'll let you take it away. Thanks,
sure.
Sundar.
Thank you so much, Ron. So actually, like the tool that we have built is actually a data anomaly detection tool, and it is particularly built for validating the quality of customer data. So what is the problem that we are solving with this tool is basically like it's actually like the main problem that we are solving is data quality. So Softcrylic as a data consulting services, when we talk to many clients and when we work with many clients, we used to hear back from our clients a lot of issues about data quality. And most of these data quality issues can be categorized into these four big buckets. Like first is data validity issues. So We have a lot of data, but most of the data is not valid. For example, we have customer data, our customer phone numbers are not valid, their email addresses are not valid. So this is a common data quality issue that we hear from our customers. The next set of issues, like data completeness issues, like particularly for marketing teams who are working with customer data, they're trying to build this 360-degree view of customers. But most of the time, like what we hear is like this customer data is not complete. Like we don't have a complete address, or we don't have the complete personalization details of the customer. So data incompleteness is the issue that we hear quite often. Then data duplicates, so when, particularly for the marketing teams, when the customer data is processed and then prepared and then they are ready to be segmented for campaign targeting and whatnot, when we look at particular segments, we see a lot of duplicate customer records. Like these duplicate records are basically like loss of marketing budget, because we are sending multiple emails to a same person, and if there are ads, then we are showing multiple ads to the same person. So it's basically duplicates it impacts the marketing budget. And then we also have data inconsistency issues, the data that we see about a particular customer in one system, like a CRM system, is not inconsistent with the data that we see for the same customer in our e-commerce system. This is again a big data quality issue that we quite often hear from our customers. So when we started looking at these data quality issues, it was repeated from customer after customer, and then we were trying to find out ways how we can solve these data quality problems in an automated manner. So basically, there are many different approaches that we tried, but these two approaches really worked for us. So we took this two-staged approach, or we call this a bidirectional approach, where on one side we use this expectations framework to validate data. So what are expectations? So expectations are a way for a domain user, data domain user, to express their domain knowledge in a very simple form. For example, most of the data is stored in data sets in rows and columns. So a domain user can say hey, I expect the values in this particular column to be unique, or I expect the values to be in this column to be a set of values that represents the departments within our company. So expectations are a very simple structure, and it's a very powerful structure that you can actually express any kind of domain knowledge about the data in simple expectations, and then we take that expectations and convert that into a code to validate data. So this is the one approach that we follow to validate the quality of data. And the second approach is we took the machine learning approach, because not that most of the times when you're solving the data quality problem, you will be able to solve those problems with the rule-based approach, which is our expectations. Whereas in some cases, you have to actually look at the past data and then learn the patterns, from the past data. And then when new data is ingested into the system, based on the learning from the past data, you have to actually detect whether this is a normal behavior or abnormal behavior. So in that case, machine learning helped us a lot to detect data quality problems, and then we started building machine learning models to detect some of these data quality problems. So using these two approaches, like expectations, which is more like a rule-based approach, and then this another machine learning approach, we built data facts. So data facts is our data anomaly detection solution, particularly focused for Adobe Experience Platform and customer data. So data facts has two different systems within it. One is the backend system, which is a bunch of libraries that we have built that sits inside Adobe Experience Platform. And as and when new data is ingested into Adobe Experience Platform, our data facts libraries validate the data. And we also have a front-end system that is the dashboard application that we built using Adobe Firefly. Basically, the front-end system is actually a reporting system where data teams can actually go and identify data quality issues at a record level and column level. So The first version of data facts that we have built so far actually has two main features. One is it detects and alerts data anomalies and data quality issues at a record level and column level for all different data sources that is supported by Adobe. This includes data coming in from Adobe Analytics or data coming from CRM systems like Salesforce or like other transactional data that's coming from e-commerce system. Most of the data that is supported by AEP, our data facts tool is able to validate the quality of the data. And the second feature, which is our reporting dashboards, helps our clients to measure the quality of data that is being ingested into AEP. And it also helps. It provides like drill down reports for data teams to identify and resolve data quality issues, in a very fast manner. And we have actually built this tool and deployed this tool in our client projects. And what we have seen is our tool is identifying a lot of data quality issues which are benefiting our clients teams, particularly the marketing teams are able to do better audience targeting because our tool is able to identify top data quality issues and eliminate the bad records, so that the marketing teams are using healthy, good records, good data records for their targeting. So it's helping for better audience targeting. And at the same time, when the data is used for customer experience, improving the customer experience, it definitely helps to increase customer engagement, satisfaction, and retention. And it also helps a lot in terms of reducing cost. Basically, our tool sits inside AEP, and as and when new data is ingested into AEP, immediately our tool start validating the data. So data teams are able to identify data quality issues at an early stage in the data pipeline. And when you're identifying quality issues in an early stage of a data pipeline, it's easier and cheaper to fix it there rather than in the downstream, in your reports or in your machine learning models. If you find issues with data quality, it is really expensive to fix there. Whereas if we're able to identify issues in the early stages, it's cheaper to fix there. And in that respect, our tool helps, to reduce the cost of maintaining data platforms. And also, it improves the efficiency, both for the data teams as well as improves the efficiency of campaigns that are activated, by the data that's coming from AEP. So we have seen these are the benefits of our solution.
Okay, before you jump into the demo,
Sure.
Sundar, so sorry for jumping in. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
So as people watch the demo, it'd be great to kind of understand a little bit about who the customer is for this application. And really, I mean, you talked a lot about kind of the problem that you saw and the solution that you built, and we're about to see a demo. Kind of where did the idea come from? How did you identify the need, I guess? Was there a specific process that you guys go through? Is it kind of that data journey that you shared at the beginning, or how does that process work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the idea of building automated solution came to us as I mentioned, when we talked to our clients, and when we actually worked with our clients on many of the data engineering projects, most often the issues that we hear is hey, the data that is being ingested is not good, or the data that we are expecting is not coming on time. For example, our clients are pulling data from Google DCM, the ad performance data from Google DCM through APIs. Then Google makes some changes to the APIs and the pipeline is broken. So we hear a lot of data quality issues, and the data engineering teams were working on resolving these issues rather than focusing on optimizing the pipeline or trying to build it or trying to bring data from new sources. Most of the time, our data teams were also data engineering teams were also working with fixing these data quality issues. At the same time, our data science team, they also when they were trying to build models, they were trying to build predictive models an audience modeling and other stuff for marketing teams, they also started noticing this data quality problems. Hey, I'm seeing the customers transactional behavior pattern is not proper. I see a lot of junk values are breaking my models, machine learning models and other stuff. So when we started looking deeper into what's causing these problems, then that's where we started categorizing this data quality issues. So that's where the idea came from. Okay, why can't we build an automated solution that actually sits way up front, in the data ecosystem? As soon as the data is ingested, why can't we go through terabytes of data, identify what's wrong with the data, and then alert the data teams, so that it's easier for them to fix those issues in the early stages of the pipeline, rather than scratching their head when the machine learning model is not doing the proper prediction, or the reports are not showing proper numbers. So that's where the idea came from. Ron, the other question about
who the customer is,
who the customer is about is
within an org.
So the main customers that we see for our data facts tool is the marketing teams. So we want marketing teams to actually understand the quality of data that they are using for their marketing campaigns, whether it is email campaigns or ad targeting campaigns. Before running that campaigns, we wanted to provide an opportunity for marketers to look at how many duplicate customer profiles I have in this segment, so that I can get that eliminated. Having said that, marketing teams are our main focus. We also see data teams are getting a lot of benefits by using our tool. Data teams, what I mean by data teams is whether it's being a data engineer or a data scientist or a data analyst, can use our tool, to ensure the quality of data that they are using for their projects. And then, as I mentioned, using our tool, they are able to detect anomalies, data issues very early in the stage of the pipeline, so that they can fix those issues. And at the same time, we have built our tool in such a way that we provide record level and column level details about where exactly the issue is, so that they can pinpoint the issue and also understand the root cause of the issues and quickly fix it. So that gives productivity gains for the data teams. To summarize, we see both marketing teams as well as data teams, including data engineers and data scientists and analysts, as users for our tool.
Right on. Okay, very cool. Well, I think we have created anticipation enough here. So why don't you jump into the demo, and I'll let you continue.
Sure, definitely. I'll jump into the demo. So here. Okay, so I will start with this screen. Okay, so this is our tool, Data Facts. Actually, I'm showing the dashboard application of our tool. As I mentioned, there is a backend system that is actually running inside Adobe Experience Platform. As and when new data is ingested into AEP, our backend system will detect, okay, new data is ingested into AEP. I'm gonna validate the data, based on different factors. So when new data is ingested into AEP, our data facts backend libraries will profile the data. It scans the data, it understands what kind of data is present in each of the data sets, in each records and each column. And based on the data values, it actually identifies the data quality checks that it has to deploy. I talked about expectations. So if there is a column that is holding email addresses, our tool will identify, okay, I see a lot of email addresses in this column. So it is a column that is holding email addresses. So I have to set an expectation that this column should have, valid email addresses. And if we identify that particular column is a, identity column, it's used for identity stitching and other stuff, then it automatically also applies the expectations this particular column should not have any null values. So based on the profile of the data, we start implementing different validations for that data in the backend. And then after profiling, we start validating the data for the past 3 months just to gather more metrics and more patterns. At the same time, as and when new data is ingested, we actually validate the data and then collect lots of data quality metrics and then store the metrics in our backend. And this dashboard application is connected to our backend, and it provides all the data quality metrics that is needed for the data teams to basically measure the quality of the data and then identify issues and fix those issues. So here I'm showing a summary report. Basically, we have, as of now, for the first version of the data facts that you're seeing here, we have developed, we are validating data quality from two different aspects. One is we are validating the validity of data in each record, each row, to make sure the data is valid, in terms of valid in the sense in terms of whether it is having proper data values, and then whether the data adheres to a particular schema, whether the data that we see is in a completed format. All those things are done through this validity reports. And we also have completeness report, which actually validates the completeness of data. And these are the two dimensions of data quality that we are focused right now. And our goal is to start adding more and more dimensions. There are almost 6 data quality dimensions there. We are slowly trying to add these dimensions in our product one by one. So this is just a general overview of the dashboard application. So here you could see the validity summary report. You can actually also look at the quality of your data for last 24 hours, last 7 days, last 30 days. And we also do have a lot of filters in our reports to help the data teams actually filter through our reports to identify data quality issues, more at a data set level, record level, and whatnot. And we also have notifications where as and when our tool completes validating the data, it provides both in-app notifications as well as email notifications. So, and we also have other features you can just hide the metrics and then view the metrics. Again, you can drill down into each and every data point and look what the issues are. So I will start with the workflow of how the data quality is validated through our tool. So the first thing, once this application is installed in an AEP environment, users will actually go to a setting screen. So actually, I have opened the setting screens in another page. So here you could see when you click on the setting screen, we list all the data sets that are available within Adobe Experience Platform. So users can basically filter these data sets for just looking at the data set that are included in the customer profile. So they can filter the data sets, and then they can select a particular data set. I have it in another screen. They can select a particular data set and enable the different data quality checks they wanted to do on the data set when new data is ingested into the system. So for example, here I'm enabling, I wanted to, for this particular data set, which is AAM device data, I wanted to do validity checks, validate each and every value in the records. And then also wanted to do a completeness check. I wanted to make sure the data that is ingested into this particular data is complete. So we are building the data duplicate checks. It's work in progress. Once that is done, you can enable that as well. So this is how a data team or a data user will enable the quality checks. And then they will also set threshold. Basically this threshold, the threshold values is basically represents the tolerance level of data quality issues that you can tolerate on this particular data set. So you can set it the default is 5%. You can set it if you think you might be getting more invalid data, and you wanted to start with a bigger tolerance level, and then you can go down the line, you can reduce the tolerance level. You can do that as here. And then you can also set what kind of notifications that you wanted to receive. when there are data quality issues. So you can enable email notifications, and then we also have like in-app notifications that I show. So a data team member actually will enable these things for a data set for the first time. Once this is enabled, what happens in the background is like we will start like profiling this particular data set to understand what kind of data is inside this particular data set, and then what are the values that we see. Based on the values we see, we will start automatically setting up all the data quality validation that is needed for that particular data set. So this is all done automatically. The users don't have to go in and then write any business rules or conditions. So it all happens automatically. So this is the first step, wherein the user will enable data quality checks for a particular data set. Once this is done, as and when new data is ingested into that particular data set, those data quality validations will run against the data, and then it will start identifying data quality issues and report those issues in the dashboards. So I'm actually going back to my dashboard here. So here I will show you a demo of like how a data team member can identify a data quality issue at a record level and a column level. So here I'm looking at my validity report. Here it gives like a snapshot of my data quality for the last 7 days. So here are the metrics, various different metrics, like how many records we have validated, how many data sets we have validated, how many records actually failed our validation, how many records are like within the threshold, the 5% threshold. There are errors, but this amount of data is like within the threshold, and what is the total columns that we have scanned. And then here is a trend of like the data quality issues over a period of last 7 days. So data quality members also get email alerts. Not this apart from this dashboard, as and when our tool finish executing its audit or validation, it sends an email alert on a everyday basis. It sends an email alert, hey, like you have like 2% of error rate in your data validation checks, and you have like X percentage of errors in your data completeness, and here are the issues for that. Here are the top 3 issues for the day. So users can click on the view reports that directly takes the user to the dashboard. They can view the reports from here, or they can come to the notifications, and then also look at data quality issues from the notifications. So I'm actually going to show you a demo of a data quality issue that you can view from this notification. So here I'm selecting this particular notification to see what's the error is. So it's basically loading the data quality issues that happened on a particular day on a particular batch of data that was ingested. So here you could see I'm looking at a data validation that was done yesterday. Though there were not errors, but there are some warnings in here. Warnings are still errors, but they are within the threshold. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan through this particular record. So here, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a data set called Salesforce contacts, and then in this particular batch, there are there was data ingested for various different columns, and then I'm going to actually use this filter to look for a specific column because that's the column that I'm very interested, which is email address. So I'm actually filtering the columns out of various columns available in that particular data set. I'm specifically focused on the email column. Here you could see that for the email column, almost close to 500,000 records were ingested on yesterday. And then in that, we have validated close to 400,000 records, and we found 70 error records. It is within the threshold, but still this 70 records have errors. So I'm going to look at the details. So here is our detail screen. In the detail screen, basically what we are showing is we are kind of drilling down into this particular error. Here again, we are showing the same details about what the error was. And here we are showing what was checked. here for this particular column, we are checking whether this column has valid email addresses. So here, if you look at here, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Here, what our tool has done is it has like identified some data quality issues. Here, if you look at this email addresses, they are not proper. Here, you could see that the domain name is not complete. Here, again, like the domain name is not complete. Here, you could see there is a small period here at the end of the email name. So this is marked as an invalid email address. So this is an example to show how using our tool, you can identify data quality issue at a column level, which is like email column level, and at a record level. So this is one example that I wanted to show.
Hey, Sundar, one quick question. So
Sure.
on DataFacts, so where do you make the changes to the source data? Is DataFacts a discovery tool only, or can you use DataFacts to then make changes to correct the data?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is only a discovery tool. So
Okay.
We do not want to build features to change it, because change is something that also requires approvals and other stuff.
Right.
So we wanted to give enough information to the data teams so that data teams can actually identify the issues, the root cause of the issue, and then fix those issues by themselves. So it is only a discovery tool for now.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. I don't want to discount that, because I think that's a massive benefit to customers to be able to discover, this data that's malformed or, incomplete or wrong. I mean, garbage data, as you mentioned, costs companies a great deal. So this is fantastic.
True. Thank you. So this is a demo of like how people can identify issues at a column level. I also wanted to show you a different feature. Basically, like once you have identified an error record, you can click on the details and then look at the details in context of the whole data set. So here I'm showing another error where here we have identified invalid phone numbers. So here you could see, I'll show you. Here you could see, again, this is for the Salesforce contact CRM data. Here you could see for many records, you are seeing like phone numbers that are inputted just like as a period. The value of phone number is just only period here. And then what we provide is we also provide a copy SQL query. Basically, we just show only few records here in our tool, just to give a sample of the error records. And we provide an interface where we provide a feature where you can actually copy a SQL query, a complete SQL query that gives all the error records. So you can copy it and go and execute inside your data platform. Here I took the SQL query and executed the SQL query inside AEP data platform. And then here you could see the customer contact phone number is all in a period for many records. So we could see that this issue was there for almost 20,000 records for this particular data quality issue. So
okay,
this is,
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is super exciting, and I'm just blown away, because Firefly, we expected, was a great surface for internal employees to have a tool that they can do some task in, and then having it adjacent to all of the other Experience Cloud, Adobe Experience Platform solutions means that it's very quick to go from one of those applications like Firefly to a native Adobe Experience Cloud app. And you've just basically shown how that would work. And so it's amazing the work that you guys have done. So super impressive. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Ron. So yeah, that was an example of how using data facts you can identify issues at a column level. So we also, with our data facts tool, like we also have another feature in our validity reports is basically we call this as a column combo. Data is all about relationship, right? So within a data set, like, there might be relationship between the columns. So our tool automatically identifies those relationships and also like, does validations for those relationships. So here I'm going to show you a demo of how our tool is able to identify relationship between columns and validate that relationship. So here I'm going to actually like go to another example, like where I'm going to select a particular date. Here I'm just like focused on only one date, which is on like July 28th, which is yesterday. And I'm actually going to look at a specific validation for the column combo validation. So I'm going to look at the validation name. So here I'm picking up the validation, and the name of the expectation is basically like, expect column values to be a valid postal code, for a country, right? So if there is like you're sending real, paper like catalogs, to your customers, and you wanted to make sure like that the catalogs end up in the correct address. So this is going to be an important. So basically, like here, I'm selecting that particular validation and then applying it to filter my error records. Okay. So I believe like it's taking a little bit of time. So here it came up. So here what we are saying is, for around like almost like 30,000 records that were ingested into the Salesforce leads data set, like we see this column combination error for 6% of the error records. So what's the error here? So I'm going to the details. Here you could see what we are doing is we are actually validating, if the country is like United States, whether it does this particular, record has a valid, postal code. So here you could see for United States, like, we see this weird postal code for almost like 100 plus records. Same goes to Canada. There is like, postal code like ISSS. So this is an example of like how our tool is able to identify issues, like, based on the relationship in the columns. So this is all about like, the validation or validity reports, validating the actual data to make sure it is a valid data, the format is correct, the schema is correct, and actually the values in those columns and records does make sense. So I'll also wanted to quickly jump into our completeness reports. So data completeness for us is based on metrics. So how we validate completeness is based on metrics. So for this particular instance, what we have done is we have taken around like 5 different metrics to be tracked and checked for quality in terms of data completeness. For example, the number of records that are ingested into a data set, is an important metric to determine the completeness of the data set. Correct. So likewise, the number of records ingested into the data set, we also like, track few other metrics like, number of identities added, number of graphs created. So for people who might be wondering what these identities and graphs are, because our data facts tool, the first version of it is tightly integrated with AEP. AEP is all about like, having customer data. So what's happening within AEP is like, customer data is brought from various different sources, like, whether it's your Adobe Analytics or your like Salesforce CRM system or your e-commerce transaction system. So the data coming from each of the systems about a customer has identities, like, for example, your analytics has, your cookie ID or EC ID, whereas like, your e-commerce system might have a unique ID and your CRM system has an ID about a customer. And what Adobe Experience Platform is doing is stitching all these IDs together to build a 360-degree view of the customer. So in that aspect, like, number of identities added, to the Adobe Experience Platform, the graphs created, the profiles added, the profiles updated. These are the key metrics that actually gives you a measure of the completeness of data that's there in your AEP system. So that's what we are actually tracking with our data facts tool. And this particular portion of data quality check is done through machine learning. We don't use any rules-based approach where we look at the past data, the patterns in the past data, and then we will, as and when new data is ingested for a particular day, we check if the new data ingested is within the range, which is within an acceptable range. If it is not within an acceptable range, then we mark that as an anomaly, abnormal data point, and then present it to the users for them to basically go and check what's wrong with that particular data. So here, I'm going to show you an example of like how using our data completeness report, data teams can identify issues.
Okay, so before you jump into that, so we have about 4 minutes left in the stream. So I wasn't sure that the demo was going to go for quite that long. I mean, it's an amazing product, but I definitely want to get some of the questions that folks have asked and talk a little bit about kind of how the product was built. Because the functionality, I think itself is amazing. And I also want to give a shout out to all the people who are online from Softcrylic that have probably never seen this tool before and are seeing it for the first time. So you guys have built an amazing product. So okay to take a couple of questions here?
Sure. Yep, sure.
Okay, so we've got a question. Let me throw it up on the screen from Robin. So what's the work or the task flow? And we talked about this prior to the stream about the architecture, and that was something that we didn't provide or prepare ahead of time. But I definitely want to chat a little bit about kind of the APIs that you're using and how you're connected to AEP and how that process works. If you want to share that a little bit.
Sure. So our dashboard application, this Firefly app, is actually having three-tier. It's like a three-tier architecture. The front end is basically like Adobe Firefly React application built using Adobe Spectrum design system. So Adobe Spectrum design system is nothing but a bunch of pre-built libraries that are provided by Adobe to accelerate the development of Firefly apps. So, and also like bring the same look and feel of other Adobe products. So the front end is basically like, React plus Spectrum. And our middle tier is Adobe I/O. As I mentioned, like, Adobe I/O is a bunch of, APIs that helps you to get connected to other Adobe products. So our React front end system, calls our Adobe I/O, which is again a serverless API system, and requests for data, and then Adobe I/O sends that request back into the Adobe product, which is like Adobe Experience Platform in our case. Adobe I/O goes and passes that request to our backend system. Our backend system is basically running inside Adobe Experience Platform as a bunch of Python libraries. So the request that's coming from Adobe I/O to our Python libraries are caught by our Python libraries, and then they are executed. And once they finish executing, they're sending the results back to Adobe I/O, and then from Adobe I/O it comes back to the front end system. So it's a three-tier architecture, which is like UI, middle tier, and backend.
Right on. That's very cool. And I know we've got some plans for a blog post, and we can go a little bit more into into more detail in the blog post. So definitely that is good. And one of the things I didn't mention was what was it? The chat, if you can't do a comment, if you happen to be watching this on Eventbrite, the only way to ask questions is on YouTube itself. So I apologize for the for that. So and Robin has a follow-up, which is everything in the Adobe ecosystem.
That's a great question. So Yeah, mostly everything is in Adobe ecosystem. The data quality metrics that we collect, right? About like which data set there is an issue, what the issue is, not the actual data, the quality reports. Uh, all this data lives in Azure ecosystem. Like even in fact, like Adobe Experience Platform, was built on top of Azure mostly.
Yep.
So the reports, and then the data about the reports lives in a separate Azure data lake, and then we are using Azure Data Lake to get all these reports. And that is the only piece that is outside of the Adobe ecosystem. But mostly the application, the front end, the middle tier, and the back end, all those stuff lives within the Adobe ecosystem.
That is great. Thank you very much for that. Hey, I want to mention we are over time, but I don't want to stop. If people have questions, and if Sundar, if you've got a couple more minutes, if there are more questions, definitely ask them. But Sundar, is that okay with you for a minute or two?
I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, so the one question that I wanted to ask, well, I've actually asked a bunch, but is on the UI. The UI is amazing. I think this is one of the most complete, rich looking applications with multiple screens. I love that you've got that slide out. It's amazing. So, and the charting that you've used, and I think in the pre-show or the prep, we talked a little bit about, the libraries that you brought in addition to React to really bring that to life. You want to just share a little bit about how that process was, and yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like definitely, yes. Like as I mentioned, like the UI was built using this Adobe Spectrum design system. Adobe Spectrum design system is a maturing product. Like Adobe is adding a lot of like UI components that are needed to build a full blown web application or a mobile application. But when we started building like this data facts, what we found is like the charting system was not there, meaning that the charts and reports was not completely built within the Adobe Spectrum design system. Still it is work in progress. So we had to start like looking for other solutions. Like so we took an open source library, and then we kind of like modified the library to an extent that it can integrate within Spectrum, and then like bring the charts in. So the chart portion that you see here are all like based on an open source library that we used, and then we tightly integrated that with Adobe Spectrum to bring in here. So it is actually pretty cool. Like the development team that I have, like they've done an amazing job of building these different charts, like which was fantastic.
Yeah, and which library did you use? What did you pull in? What was the name of it?
It's chart.js, charts.js.
Okay. Right on. Yeah, that's great. Then people who might want to do the same thing can definitely check that out. Hey, we've got another question here from Cassava, who asked, do you have any reports for anomalies?
Yeah, I was about to show that. Like, if you guys have a few minutes, I can quickly show it. So let me like go back to this completeness report, like where basically completeness report helps you to identify anomalies. So I'm going to filter this report, as I mentioned, like, and I'm going to filter it for yesterday because off my head, I know this anomaly. Oh, I'm sorry. Something went wrong. Let me reset the filters here.
It's not a live demo if there's not, an issue. It didn't actually happen.
Okay. So basically, like, this anomalies report is basically like, I just want to go back a little bit. Sorry. I'm resetting it. Oh, okay. Sorry, like I'm having some issues. Sorry, Keshava, like I'll try to, get this to you guys because I also have to run, like, I'll get this to you later.
Yep. That sounds great. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time today, and even spending a few minutes after. This was an amazing session. Your demo is just mind blowing. It's amazing what you can do to yeah, it's amazing to see what kind of an app can be built with Project Firefly. I don't know that we had anticipated something of this breadth or the amazing quality. So just, yeah, amazing.
Thank you so much, Ron, for having me on the show. It was really, really nice, and I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank you for joining as well, and all the time you put into preparing all this, and look forward to seeing what great products come out of Softcrylic here in the future.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks again. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Okay. See ya.